welcome back. You probably have heard of hoarding. We know it's a huge problem here in the metro and across the country. Well, this month happens to be a Minnesota task force who wants to raise awareness about it. And joining us is Nate Berg, a paramedic and member of the Hoarding Project, and Randy Carey, a volunteer with the Hoarding Task Force. Welcome to both of you. And you guys work together as well to help clean up scenes. What is the name of the company you work with?
Scene Clean.
Scene Clean. So you guys come in afterwards and gut the place out? Is that the idea?
Pretty much, we remove everything so that the property can be livable to our building codes.
Explain what hoarding is. We know at the root of it, it's a mental issue, correct?
Hoarding is actually a form of a mental illness, or it is a mental illness. Hoarding is just a symptom of that mental illness.
And it's pretty alarming, the numbers.
Yeah, they're estimating anywhere from 20 to 25% of the metro area homes have some degree of hoarding. And
what is considered a degree? I mean, how far? We know it can get very, very bad, where we've seen pictures on TV shows, it's piled up to the ceiling, but how far does it go?
The Institute of Challenging Disorganization has created a 5 degrees scale, and most of the homes that we deal with are in the 4 to 5 categories. So those are the ones where we have to use a lot of our biohazard equipment.
Oh, okay.
Some of the 1s, the 2s, and the 3s, sometimes we'll do a 3, but the 1s and the 2s can be done with a professional organizer. The difference being that the 4s and the 5s have, you know, there's usually animal feces, even human feces, urine, dead animals, rodents, that kind of stuff. So we have to take the extra precautions with our equipment when we clean those out.
On any scale, quite often we'll need these type of respiratory protective gear, because like yesterday we did a large volunteer effort. We had about 25 people volunteering their time, and we did a couple of free cleanouts for the Hoarding Task Force for some people that needed it financially, or they were going to have a condemned home. But we always wind up finding out that when we move items, these homes aren't breathing healthy, and yesterday we had to mix a solution to kill some mold again.
Wow. So, explain some of those dangers, because the first one that comes in my mind, having been on a few various scenes, fire scenes, is how dangerous it can be in those homes.
Yeah, you got collapsing of items could happen. Just the weight. We've done homes where it's, I mean, floor to ceiling with paper, and you know the house could even collapse. So there's that. There's you know, the feces from various animals, mice. There's the mold, and the refrigerators a lot of the time have been neglected. So there could be, you know, the sanitary issues of the salmonella, E. coli. So we're concerned about everything in the home when we go and clean these out.
Something else that I found the other day, this is interesting, you find out about this stuff being in the industry, but we had a call for somebody, people are at risk of falling, and a lot of times this is people who are elderly. Yeah. So the other day we had a homeowner wound up in the ER because he fell in his stitches, ripped out the pacemaker, something like that.
And I know it's so difficult for families to approach this subject and get their loved ones help. Any advice there? Because I'm sure by the time you guys come in, they've already had some very difficult conversations, and things are obviously emotional. Where does somebody begin if they're concerned about a loved one? Part
of the state task force's goal is to bring awareness to the issues of hoarding in a non-judgmental way, and that's why we want to take part in that. There are resources through the state task force for counseling for both the person who hoards and the family members. So I always recommend to go check out the hoardingproject.org is the nonprofit. They're based in Tacoma, Washington. There's a branch here in Minnesota. And real quick before we let you go, you mentioned something about a clutter scale. What's that about? Yep, that's it's the 5 scale from the Institute of Challenging Disorganization. So and there can be copies of that found on our website, which is scenecleanmn.com. All right, and that's where people can go to get more information. Well, thank you. We know it's a big battle and a lot of work for you guys. So thanks for having us.
Thank you very much, and hopefully bring some awareness to people out there. Let's switch it over